Tune in every Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for interviews, gospel music, and more right here on The Uplift.
COVID vaccines are here, and Black physicians and scientists help to develop them. So
your source for your favorite gospel music is all right here on The Uplift.
Right here on The Uplift.
It's a good Saturday morning right here in Dallas, Texas. Brother Robert Ashley with you here on The Uplift Live for the review. Another edition of the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com. And once again, I'm Robert Ashley, and we thank you so very much for joining us here on a Saturday morning right here on The Uplift Live at www.theupliftlive.com. 24-hour gospel radio station here, playing the best in contemporary and traditional gospel music. A lot of great shows and ministries. And of course, we want to thank the one and only John Beckworth of Golden Gate Funeral Home for continuing to work with us right here on The Uplift Live. And what we do here on the review, we review the news stories of the previous week. And that gives us a chance to look at some of the issues that are going on in and around our world. Now, also, we are hoping to be joined by some of our guests, maybe some who were with us last week as we talked about the N-word controversy. Yes, the big N-word controversy that's still going on in the Grand Prairie ISD. There's a good chance we'll be talking with Arthur Fleming this morning at the NAACP, along with a very distinguished young lady by the name of Angela Lucky. And also, we want to continue to thank all of you for being with us here on The Uplift Live. And also want to say good morning to the one and only Cheryl Smith. I don't know if Cheryl's going to be joining us this morning, but last week we did have some situations and some comments that were made right at the end of our program. And we certainly want to apologize about those comments that were made, because we understand the nature of the comments led to some people being actually offended. And we certainly understand that. And it's not our objective or our intention to offend anyone, even though we talk about the issues and we talk about them very, very controversially in some cases. But when there's an apology due, we certainly want to issue that. So we certainly want to apologize to Cheryl Smith and, of course, Angela Lucky, members of the NAACP, and, of course, members of the Black media, if you will. We certainly want to apologize regarding that. Of course, what we do, once again, each and every week, we talk about the given situations in terms of news. And right now, I'm getting some calls here from Angela Lucky. And, of course, let's see here, Mr. Arthur Fleming indicating that they're trying to get in through our link, and we'll continue to work on that as we move forward. But once again, we hope and pray that you had a real good week. And boy, there's a lot of things going on. We've got the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. He pretty much dominated the news cycle this week, because we thought we would see the former president possibly in handcuffs. The district attorney there in Manhattan, Alvin Bragg, who just happens to be an African-American, basically, we were under the impression that the former president of the United States would indeed be indicted this week with regards to the allegations of hush money payments to this so-called porn star, Stormy Daniels. And if you recall that case, now, if you go back and look at the case, Stormy Daniels actually lost and was ordered to pay President Trump's legal fines and legal bills after that situation first came up. And then Alvin Bragg, the district attorney there in Manhattan, decided that there's a possibility he wanted to try the case. Now, the thing about it also, there was no arrest of the former president this week. He was not arrested. The grand jury did meet and hear from more witnesses that are going before the grand jury to see if indeed this former president may have committed a felony. Now, you got to look at this given situation. Now, Black folks in particular, we vote Democratic. And a lot of times the politics that are involved may or may not get the kind of scrutiny that it deserves within our community. Now, when you hear about these district attorneys, Alvin Bragg, you have a district attorney there in Atlanta. They're all investigating former President Donald Trump. Now, at the same time, our current president, Joe Biden, is being investigated by the House Republican committees that are now looking into whether or not his son, Hunter Biden, because of the laptop and the information that's on the laptop, or whether or not this president is basically facing possible treason charges. Because we've had a chance to look at it. Now, if you think I'm lying, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I've voted both ways. I'm like the late DeVoy Jennings say, I'm a victocrat. I've been victimized by the Democratic Party. I've been victimized by the Republican Party. So as Silk of Diamond and Silk fame. Y'all remember those two black women who pretty much went out and supported President Trump initially. If you hadn't heard, Diamond actually died, from what we understand, in Silk. But she was recently on a talk show this past week suggesting that our political system here in America, we have kind of a two-party system, Democrats and Republicans. And what Silk was suggesting is that, it's a dirty bird with two dirty wings. But that's the best that we have here in the United States of America, not unless, I guess, we're going to have somebody like Barack Obama fundamentally change America. Y'all remember when he was first inaugurated, when he said he wanted to fundamentally change the United States of America. And the way you fundamentally change America, you change the democratic republic form of government. We become a totalitarian dictatorship, pretty much like Cuba, Russia, China, those type of organizations right there. And if you think that that couldn't happen in the United States of America, you are probably sleepwalking through what some would call a great revolution that's taking place within the United States. But once again, you're listening and watching the review right here in Dallas, Texas at www.theupliftlive.com. It looks like I have a great, one of our warrior sisters who is on the line here with us today, the one and only Angela Lucky, the president of the Grand Prairie chapter of the NAACP. Now, many of you probably saw Angela on television this past week. There was a big news conference held at the administrative office of the Grand Prairie Independent School District over these allegations at Dubisky Career Center. That some students, the Dubisky Five, if you will, are accused of just using that N-word. And then we had a student there at the news conference, and to see that student describe the emotional torment, the emotional harassment that youngsters have to go through now in terms of being called the N-word. Now, typically during my day, if somebody would use that N-word, we'd probably just, bam, you get bust in the face. That would be a fight. That would be a big fight. But now, as we have seen shootings on our campuses here locally, if we don't get control of these emotional situations on our campuses, anything could happen. And first of all, Angela, I want to say good morning to you, and we want to welcome you back to the Uplift Live. And also, let me start off, Angela, I want to apologize to you and Cheryl in light of the controversy that happened last week at the end of the show. I want to start off by apologizing to you guys, and I just hate that some of those comments were made, but we certainly want to apologize to you publicly, and also want to apologize to Cheryl. But how are you this morning, Angela?
Well, since we last spoke at the press conference, I've been hospitalized, but I'm out of the hospital now, and just trying to get better. Right now, I'm not in the state of Texas, so
yes,
I had to get away for a few days. But I am at the hospital. But I am just trying to get better.
Well, I'll tell you, that news conference at the Grand Prairie administration building this week was, we were all there listening to you and one of the students talk about it. And the next thing we know, there was some guy who started yelling, and we didn't know whether or not he was going to run up and start shooting somebody. He went out and put on camouflage. And, Arthur Fleming, one of the longtime NAACP officials, was also there. Me and Arthur were saying, wait just a minute here. We better watch this guy, because he's gone to this car and this SUV. We didn't know if he was going to go and get a gun or what. But, I mean, you were there trying to talk about the N-word, and then another big controversy erupts. Angela, what is going on in Grand Prairie?
Well, I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in the security systems that GPISD has. They knew that we were coming there to have a press conference. They knew that there would be students from Grand Prairie Independent School District that would be speaking as well. So the lack of security that wasn't there. We didn't have any security that was on the outside that could control that environment. So I'm very disappointed in that. The person that did the outburst that was disorderly, it appeared that he came there to personally attack me. Later on, I discovered that he is the security guard. He's a security guard at John Dubisky Career High School, and he was also the person to tell all the Black students not to attend the press conference that night of the school board meeting, which I find very disheartening. And that type of behavior, we do not need in Grand Prairie Independent School District. Matter of fact, we don't need it nowhere in the city of Grand Prairie, because when we have adults that behave like that, and when you have students that are imitating that behavior, it becomes a problem in our school system.
Wow. Now this guy, he was a security guard. I look like we have. Oh, there we go. Angela's back with us now. Angela, okay, we have Mr. Arthur Fleming also joining us this morning, and Arthur was at that news conference as well there at the Grand Prairie School Administration Building. Once again, we're talking about this N-word controversy, and Arthur, and I want to welcome you, Arthur, and say good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing?
All right. And Angela, to think that was the security guard who was carrying on like that.
Yes, that was the security guard, and to my understanding, with speaking with district officials, I was informed that the next morning that he was met by administrators, and he is now under an investigation, but he's been removed and he cannot have any contact with students or teachers.
My goodness. And once again, we're talking here with Angela Lucky of the NAACP. Also, Arthur Fleming is with us, and we're going to see if we can get Arthur's feed there. It looked like he's kind of jiggling around or something of that sort. But once again, you're watching and listening to the review, and we're posted up right here in Dallas, Texas. Of course, the radio station is www.theupliftlive.com, and it's a 24-hour gospel radio station, and of course, providing music and ministry as well as information. And Arthur, can you hear us, Arthur?
Yeah. I tell you what. Let me change phones. Let me change phones. Okay.
All right. Well, just chime on back here when you get a chance. Now, Angela, coming back, tell us about the student who spoke at the news conference. And I don't know if we want to repeat her name or not, because this thing seems like it's getting completely crazy. Her parents were there as well, and it seems like the Grand Prairie ISD. I mean, it seems like they're ignoring the NAACP and they're taking a hard stance. And then I understand that the Black school board member who was at the board meeting, nobody was allowed to talk about this given situation, and that the Grand Prairie school board president just kind of shut down free speech. This is incredible.
This is why I tell voters all the time, your vote is what matters. When elected officials start turning off the mic, start telling parents, I don't want to hear about you telling us that your child was lost for more than 4 hours and you got a call from one of the staff at John DeBiscayne. We have a problem. Those individuals, we need to make sure that they do not get elected back in on the board. And that's how we correct that. And when we correct and change the board, you have to come out and you have to vote. We can no longer afford to vote by party, but in school board races and city council races, those are party races. But because towns are so small, people know usually if they're Democrat or if they're Republican, and people tend to vote still as partisan and nonpartisan races. And we can no longer afford to do that in this country. That's why we have so many divisions and we have the problems that we have. We have to elect the people that's going to serve all people in our cities, in our local government. Because in Grand Prairie, it's unfolding. Right at John DeBiscayne Career High School, you have African-American students saying, this is normal behavior. We get called the N-word, and some of the Black students is perceiving it and thinking like it's not a problem. They call me the N-word every day. I'm fine with that. And then you have the Black students that says, I'm not fine with it. It's offensive and I'm offended by it. So I'm concerned for both group of students, and I'm concerned for the students that think it's okay when it's not okay. But we must hold the principal accountable. We must hold the teachers accountable that allow this type of conversation to go on in their room, and they do not stop this behavior.
Yes. All right. And Arthur, you were there at the news conference. You saw the young man, you all were in the middle of making your statement, just burst out, interrupting the news conference, accusing the president of making a big fuss because she wanted to run for mayor. The filing deadline for running for mayor, that's closed. It's come and gone now. Arthur, your assessment of what happened at the news conference.
Well, I think that by him working at
Babinski working over there with that principal that needs to go. I think she gave him white status, and I think he thought he could act white, and I thought he was defending his principal when he did all that. So I think he was acting on her behalf.
So, do you think that this young man, if he's been suspended and as emotional as he was, and he seemed to be an African American with dreadlocks and all that kind of thing, not to stigmatize anybody, Angela, are you concerned about your safety?
At this time, I'm not concerned about my safety. I know that Chief Cessny, who is the police chief of Grand Prairie, I know that if there continue to be threats, I think that the appropriate measurement of law enforcement that can be utilized, even if it results in filing charges, to have an individual arrested for terroristic threats. And if I have to take it to that level, then I would take it to that level. But right now, I am not afraid at all about the comments that he made. However, I was shaken up because it came out of nowhere. And when someone is acting in a threatening manner, and then you're standing there in district uniform and with your GPISD badge on, and then you drive off, stop your vehicle in the parking lot, get out, put on a hunting hoodie, and then put your hand in your pocket. I'm concerned with that behavior. What is he getting? You know, is this the day that somebody do decide to carry out a threat against me? And again, it goes back to the lack of security. GPISD, instead of them being stingy with the funds, they need to hire more SROs, officers with Grand Prairie Police, and make sure that our schools are safe, and make sure that we do have law enforcement officers. I support law enforcement officers at our schools.
Yes.
We need them. My understanding, they have hired security guards that are not licensed. So when you're not licensed, you're not trained. So that behavior, even though we know it's unacceptable, think about all the other security guards that are not licensed, that have not been trained, that's at our schools. So we have to make sure the school board trustees understand that's not the security firm that we want. They should be terminated as well.
Hey, Robert, let's be clear about one thing you said. You said the young man was African American. From my understanding, he's a Puerto Rican. So let's be clear about that. I don't want folks saying African American doing that. That's from my understanding, that's a Puerto Rican American, which is different because I'm telling you, I know Puerto Ricans personally. They tend to put white on their birth certificate. So I just want you to know that that's what they do. So.
Now, Arthur, also, as we were standing there in the parking lot with the rest of the media, and this guy is screaming at Angela in the middle of the news conference. And of course, and thank you for sending me the tape of that this morning, Angela, because I was recording as well. Did you feel threatened, Arthur? Because, you know, when I saw the guy going to his vehicle, looked like he was popping the trunk, putting on a hoodie with camouflage. I said, man, this looks like all the trappings of somebody who's going to come here and start some shooting. Did you feel threatened at all, Arthur?
Well, actually, I didn't feel personally threatened because I saw him. I saw that he didn't actually have anything, but his initial foray was about, you know, NAACP youth ain't coming, da da da, and that type of stuff. So I was just hearing. So he was doing a lot of messaging. But I knew he wasn't gonna walk up on no crowd like that because what would have happened. So.
Oh God. Okay, now also, once again, for those of you just now joining us, you're listening to www.theupliftlive.com, an online 24-hour gospel radio station right here out of Dallas, Texas. Once again, it's www.theupliftlive.com. You can also go to the App Store and download Uplift It Now. That way you can take gospel music with you 24/7. And once again, with us this morning, we have Angela Luckey, the president of the Grand Prairie chapter of the NAACP, along with Arthur Fleming, also one of the longtime representatives, former president here in Dallas of the NAACP. And once again, we're talking about the school district's response to some students who said that 5 students at Dubisky Career high school there just repeatedly used the N-word, sang the N-word, did it on the post-it notes and all that kind of thing. And that youngsters were also part of the news conference saying that this is a regular thing that goes on. And Angela, the young lady who spoke, I felt so sorry for her because she said at one time she wanted to beat somebody up or bust them in the face for using the N-word, but she knew she would get suspended and that would ruin her educational opportunities. And Reggie Ruffin of the Just Cause Coalition is also joining us. But Angela, that young lady who spoke, it seemed like she was in a trap.
Most definitely. And let me say about the security guard that work at John Career at Ndebisky Career High School. When he went to the back of his car and put on the camouflage hoodie, I was afraid for my life. I felt that he was getting ready to shoot me because he was yelling aim out, and I felt like I was a target. Prior to that interview, I've never seen that man before in my life. And so I was afraid. I immediately called 911 and I begged Grand Prairie Police to get some police officers out there because when he continued to walk back inside the facility, I didn't know what was going to take place. I know that he was aggressive and he was angry. The students right now are in outrage that attend Ndebisky. The Black students is in a rage right now because they are saying when we speak up, then we're being held accountable for reporting it because the Black students were told not to show up. That is the reason the security guard that came out there was shouting that there would be no NAACP youth members showing up. That's because he told them not to come. And the young lady that spoke there that day, one of her teachers called the NAACP and said to me, I have gone to the principal and I told the principal that my Hispanic students keep calling my African American students monkeys and niggers. The principal said to that teacher, and this was an African American teacher, if a handful of 10, I do not want to awake that issue. This is why we have to hold that principal accountable because she's accountable and responsible for the school, the day-to-day operation. The teacher did what she was supposed to do, but if the principal is saying, if it's only 10 students complaining about being called a nigger, we're not going to wake that issue up. We're going to keep this in-house and we're not going to do anything about it. And that is the reason that I am calling for the resignation of that principal. And that principal is at a high school, but she's never taught at a high school. So we have to hold the hiring, how Grand Prairie hires people also, and they put them in positions. She's never taught at a high school. So how do you become a high school principal and you've never ever taught in a high school environment? So,
yes.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, look here. My concern is with, as far as the press conference, was the fact that we have, and I talked to Angela about this. I did talk to one of the youth council representatives about that, but we shouldn't have NAACP at a school like that, and we don't know who the advisors are. And then when we get ready to hold a press conference, somebody go and tell them they can't come, and then they suppress everybody else from coming, and intimidate everybody else into not coming. So I'm saying that we're going to have to get that straight with the NAACP because that should not be. So if that's the case, because that's giving them control over a NAACP entity within the school, and they tell them what to do. So we can't have that. So either that charge need to move out of there, or it need to be more, closely monitored because we can't have our organizations.
Now, before we bring Reggie into the conversation, let me ask Angela one more question. Angela, have you filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education under the Biden administration? Are you hoping the federal government will intervene? Because I don't know if there's anybody on the state level. I mean, I'm sure the state president, Mr. Gary Bledsoe, is being abreast of this, but have you filed in terms of the federal level?
I have been in communication since the press conference with Office of Civil Rights, the Dallas office, and they spoke with me and they did give me some guidance, and they sent me the link in order to go in and be able to file the civil rights complaint, and I will be filing that in regards to the students' civil rights violations. And with the teachers, I am going to be having them to file back through the system that the school have afforded them to do as well. But for the students, I will be filing the civil rights violations.
Yes. And also, real quickly, now the Grand Prairie school superintendent, the principal, they have basically ignored you or just kind of communicated with you through emails and text, no face-to-face conversations. I don't even believe that they even came out to the press conference and talked to the media, just kind of issuing press statements. Have you been, you feel like you've been shut out as an NAACP president?
Most definitely, I have been shut out. They did schedule a meeting with me, and then they called back and canceled the meeting. So I believe the school district attorney is advising them to schedule meetings and turn right back around and cancel the meetings like a day before. But this have been ongoing, so I have not officially sat with anyone in reference to these particular issues that we're speaking about in press conference.
Yes. And getting Reggie Ruffin, once again, the founder of the Just Cause Coalition, into the conversation. Once again, we're talking about that N-word controversy that's been taking place there at the Grand Prairie ISD news conference held this week on behalf of the NAACP, calling for the firing of some of the top administrators, because it seemed like they're pretty much ignoring, even though they have issued press releases saying that people would be punished based upon the student code of conduct. But nobody is meeting with the civil rights organization that's concerned about it. And of course, and now, Reggie, the thing about it is we've had several shootings here in the Dallas community. We had a shooting in Arlington, then we had one in Dallas. And I'm just concerned that if school officials continue to ignore these type of situations or try to play them down and ignore civil rights organizations and parents who are coming forth, are they creating a scenario where they're going to force some child to feel as if they're going to have to take it into their own hands? I mean, we don't want to see that. I sense Angela is trying to de-escalate this situation, but the reaction from the Grand Prairie so-called educational leadership or city fathers or whatever, they're allowing this situation to possibly escalate, Reggie.
Yes, but I want to say good morning to the panel, to Arthur and to Angela, first of all. But what I will say on this is, how many parents are actually involved in this situation?
Well, with the students that reached out to the NAACP, when we first did the press conference where the students were speaking to the media, when they spoke to Channel 11 and Channel 8, parents was there. There probably was more than 10 parents that was there that was allowing their children to speak, but at those press conferences, they was not showing those students' faces on the news, but they were able to hear what the message the children were saying. But it was like 10 parents that came out. So the students are actually speaking out. Their parents are standing behind them. The other students that attend John DeBiscayne Career High School, their parents have not reached out to the NAACP. It just based upon what the students are saying, is that this is normal. This is our normal environment, and this is what we have to deal with. But I do want to say this, I want to go on record, and I want to say this, is that at the school board a meeting that night, LULAC students, they were encouraged to be there. They spoke well, but the advisors encouraged them to be there. So I'm concerned that it's institutional racism that is existing in GPISD. So that comes from the superintendent level to where it should not be happening nowhere in Grand Prairie. How do you have one based upon color and race, and you encourage those students to come and attend and to speak? But with the Black students that did have a concern and wanted to voice their opinion about being called the N-word, they were told not to come and not to attend. So that's the superintendent level, to where the superintendent got to make sure that students are not being coerced and harassed by people that they have hired to teach our children that goes to the school district in Grand Prairie, because the Black students that were texting me they text message, Miss Lucky, we want to be there. We're afraid the teacher's gonna mess with our GPA, and many of them were high school seniors. So they looking out for themselves, but to coerce them and harass them to make them feel that their GPAs or their grades will be graded differently, that concerns me. It concerns me that the environment is toxic and that there's a lot of hate going on. And I don't want LULAC and I don't want children that are Hispanic or Latinos to feel that Black students or Black people is in competition. We are not in competition with no one. I want fairness for all children, regardless of rate, regardless of
Right.
color in our school district. But in order to get Grand Prairie back on track, we have to, the principal needs to be fired, the superintendent needs to be fired, and the school board president needs to be fired. She needs to step down, tenure her resignation. She is on the ballot. We do not need to vote her back in. And for anyone concerned, or for even the gentleman that came out there in an outrage, I'm saying that I'm running for mayor. The filing date has gone. It's have just passed us and gone. I have no interest in running for mayor now. In the future, I've done that. I am happy to be able to report, because of my efforts, we have 3 African Americans on the city council right now. And because of my effort, we have 1 African American on the school board. And I will continue to go out and find African Americans to run and to be able to serve us in Grand Prairie. So Angela is not seeking no political position.
Let me address Mr. Ruffin right quick. Let's be clear. If it was just one student, it was just one parent that had this issue, we would be doing the same thing, because, you know, the issue is the issue. And so we want to be clear about that. And where's LULAC? Yeah, I know they sent their kids, but that's not LULAC. LULAC's not a kid organization.
Has anybody heard from Domingo Garcia?
Right.
Yeah, and see, and my point is this fake Black and Brown coalition. There is no Black and Brown coalition. If it were, we would have saw it in this particular instance, and we haven't seen it. So I don't be, we'll find out there's a Black and Brown coalition.
Well,
but I think
I will agree.
But I think what Angela's doing by her, showing people, hey, here's the way to go. Since we're having this problem statewide, we need to encourage parents and so forth to file complaints with the federal. What is it, the education? What is it, Angela? The Board of Education.
U.S. Department of Education office.
Yeah, U.S. Department of Education. We need to encourage parents to start filing complaints with that entity to address the atmosphere in these schools. So I think that's one strategy going forward and that we can access.
I think one of the biggest problems is too many suits involved in this whole entire situation. Going to school used to be as simple as getting up, spritzing up, getting your books and everything, and just go to class. And that's not the norm now anymore. Everything's a problem now. Everything has to deal with there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians in this situation. And the other problem, definitely for a kid, I'd be feeling real bad as a child that I have to go through all these problems going to school. I got to worry about this problem, got to worry about that, got to worry about what the kids are doing, got to worry about some fool bringing a gun to school. I mean, and doesn't seem like that, the higher ups are wanting to do anything about it. And the other problem, as I see it, is the fact parents aren't regulating their kids, because I wouldn't dare have that problem if I had to worry about going to school, because I know my parents would beat the crap out of me for going up there acting a fool.
As an educator, as a classroom educator, let me tell you why all that. I know what you're saying, but cell phones, Reggie. You didn't have cell phones in your class. Again, I tell people all the time. I say I used to do book bag checks. If I would have saw a porn magazine or something like that, or some untoward in that bag, CPS will be at the house. So I fill out a report. They walk in every day with a cell phone with all that on their phone and everything else. And then they in school, teacher got to battle the cell phone and the student trying to teach. So it's a totally disruptive environment just from that perspective, because with the cell phone, you got the world sitting in there in the class with you. So it's a whole different dynamic. And then they don't train teachers to deal with that dynamic. They still train them in the old way, like your teachers. And so that, they're not giving them the training as far as, how to deal with tech. First of all, they shouldn't have it in class. They should check them at the desk in the morning. They need to use the phone, come down there and use it, and then pick it up in the evening. That's what they should be doing. But they got the classroom. It's a total disruptive force. And until they handle that, classroom discipline is going to be a problem. And even if you don't give your kid access to all the dirt, they go look at the other kid's phone and get it.
My goodness. Well, I'll tell you what, I got to get ready.
Okay.
Quick break here.
What you about to say, Robert?
Let me pause for a quick break, and we'll come back to you, Reggie. Once again, you are watching and listening www.theuplift live here on social media. I'm Reverend Ashley. We thank you once again for being with us here on a Saturday morning in Dallas, Texas. Once again, www.theupliftlive.com. You can go to the App Store, Google Play, and download the app, a 24-hour gospel radio station right here in Dallas, Texas. And what we do every Saturday morning, it's called a review. We review the top news stories of the week. And right now we're talking about the big N-word controversy that's going on at one of our public high schools here in the state of Texas. Now, also, when we get back, I'm going to continue on with this conversation. And also, the former president, Donald Trump's going to be in Waco, Texas today, in light of the fact we thought he was going to get perk walked and arrested this past week, but that did not happen. Once again, you're watching the review, and we'll be back with more right after this.
How is your car payment treating you? What if I told you you could make a free phone call right now and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Look at your car payment closely. You could be paying as high as 20% interest. Rate Genius can help you reduce your car payments by reducing your interest rate to as low as 2.48% APR. We can refinance most existing car loans or leased cars, new or used, and save you money every month. Put more money back in your pocket. The call is free to find out how low we can lower your car payment. 5 minutes of your time right now could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Call Rate Genius now.
800-811-8451. 800-811-8451. 800-811-8451. That's 800-811-8451.
Not all applicants qualify for a loan or rate savings. Actual offer terms, including APR, are determined at the time of your application based on creditworthiness, value of the vehicle, loan term, and other factors.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. That's 800-239-0201.
Your source for your favorite gospel music. It's all right here on The Uplift.
Right here on the Uplift.
Let me welcome you back to www.theupliftlive.com. I'm Reverend Ashley. It's a Saturday morning here in Dallas, Texas. And once again, we welcome you back to the review. Each and every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, we review the top news stories of the week here at www.theupliftlive.com. And don't forget now, go to the App Store. Download the app, Uplift it now, and that way you can take great gospel music with you 24/7. And this morning with us, Angela Lucky, president of the Grand Prairie chapter of the NAACP, former president of the Dallas chapter of the NAACP, Arthur Fleming. Also want to give a shout out to the current president of the Dallas chapter of the NAACP, Sharon Middlebrooks. We had a chance to spend a little time with the NAACP at a political candidate forum this week. Now, also with us today, the founder of a brand new civil rights organization, the Just Cause Coalition, Reggie Ruffin. And once again, we're still turning that spotlight on the Grand Prairie N-word. It seems like Grand Prairie school officials are kind of giving a mixed message. Now, at one message, they will send out a press release saying that those students have been held accountable, the code of conduct will punish them to the max. But at the same time, there are students who go to the school, hold a news conference this week saying that they're still being hit with the N-word. And Reggie, I'm just concerned.
Okay,
that,
looks like we're having a problem with the signal.
Yeah, but can you hear me? Can you hear me? Now we can hear you, Reggie, but can you hear us? Can you hear us right now? Can you hear me right now? Apparently he can't hear me right now. We're going to see if we can work that situation out. Now, Arthur, coming back to you in terms of our young people. Now, we haven't heard any allegations where the Black students have turned around and called the Hispanics names. You know, we haven't heard anybody mention anything about an Oreo cookie. We haven't heard anybody mention anything about being wet or anything like that. And I'm just concerned that if the Grand Prairie school officials don't do something where these Black youngsters will feel that they're being protected, this situation could escalate. And what's gonna stop these Black kids from retaliating? Because a lot of them know they got to have their education. They don't want to get into a fight and get thrown out because we get suspended more than anybody else. But if school officials aren't going to do anything about this situation is just going to continue to fester.
Well, actually, Robert, I hate to tell you, but the situation has already festered. We're just now addressing the festering. So fester has already happened. So we need to approach it from that position. So what I'm saying is that we need to figure out strategies to help our kids that's in the classroom right now. The dynamic, okay, Trump, like you mentioned, Trump's in Waco, okay? He's fomenting and accessing and making the CRT thing more real, you know, giving it more energy. So I'm saying, so we're going to have to get with these administrators. They set the atmosphere and tempo in these schools. That principal over at Rubisky, she set the attitude and that the majority, she gave them white status.
All right.
And so basically, you know, that young man, you know, Puerto Rican descent, you know, basically, you know, he's just doing what he think that the principal would approve of. Otherwise, he wouldn't have did that. If he thought she didn't like that, wouldn't approve of that, he wouldn't have did that. So it starts from the top.
Let me jump in and say this, Arthur, you're absolutely correct, because the 3 African-American teachers that called me, I asked, what is the relationship amongst the Hispanic Latinos teachers and the African-American teachers? And the African-American teachers are telling me that when they go into the teachers' break room, that the Hispanic teachers are not speaking to them, that they're the Hispanic whites. So if you have this going on amongst the teachers, how can teachers really teach effectively at John DeBiscayne Career High School? Also, we have had several Black teachers to quit from John DeBiscayne Career High School. And some of the ones that was on the telephone said in a few weeks, they're going to be quitting. So then we're going to have a retention problem. How do you retain African-American teachers when they're saying we're no longer going to teach here because the principal is choosing not to correct the behavior for the students and for us? So there is a problem at John DeBiscayne Career High School. And that's not the only school. There's several schools in Grand Prairie that I'm hearing from teachers and students saying, Ms. Lucky, they do this at South Grand Prairie too. I had a teacher over there to say, I hear Hispanic students calling each other the N-word more than I hear it coming from an African American. Now, this morning at 3:00 in the morning, out of nowhere, I get a video from Carlos Quintanilla. And it was a video with majority Hispanic students. And there was an African American boy comes from behind and started fighting the Hispanic kid. So in the video text that Carlos sent to me, Domingo Garcia was on the text. But they were asking the president of the NAACP why nobody's outraged or speaking out for that video. A video, I have no idea about it. First of all, it's not even in Grand Prairie School District. But why aren't they out speaking out about it? And why would you send me a video all because we're addressing the N-word that's being used at Dubisky, and because the racist video, it was presented, it was made, it was put together, it was uploaded, it was put on Instagram by those Hispanic students. And the punishment that they have received, according to teachers, now this is coming from teachers, they're saying that they got ISS. ISS is in school suspension. That's no punishment. That's like a slap in the face to the students that are offended, to allow those students to remain at John Dubisky Career High School. Those children, those students, they need to be expelled, and they need to be removed from John Dubisky. We have alternative school for students that behave like that. Students that want to put a hate video together, we have alternative school for them. And those students that do not meet the classification for alternative, right off of Interstate 30, they have a whole juvenile detention facility for students. So why are these 5 students given some type of special privilege when they created the hate video? And why is Hispanic leaders waking me up out of my sleep, sending me a video
3 o'clock in the morning
this morning?
Jesus Christ. Okay, now, Reggie, when you look at something like that, Reggie, let's get Reggie back into the conversation, because it seems like these adults, they're carrying on almost just like children now. And this is going to further escalate the situation.
That's one of the main problems I was talking about, that the adults is just as bad as the kids, if not worse. And, the other thing is that, the N-word is now, that's cultural now. Hispanics have adopted the word, and they're using it just like we're using it, and they're abusing it like we abuse it. And this is why I say one of the main factors is that the parents have to be the ones to step up to the plate and get their kids in line. But see, they always arguing about, okay, well, I give my child a cell phone because if something happens, they can call. Okay, that's true. But if we're going to get around the cell phone problem, we're going to come up with a system to implement. Okay, if they're going to need to use a cell phone or something, they're going to do that outside the class, but not to the point where they're up there on the phone on it all day, every day.
Reggie,
it goes to a situation.
Reggie, to speak to that, I had an issue where, look here, parents be calling their kids while they're in class while you're teaching.
Well, once again, that's what I'm trying to say, is that the parents have to be held accountable just as much, because the parents are worse than the kids a lot of times. Some of these parents don't hardly even raise their kids. They just sit them in front of a TV or or give them a game or something like that, or give them an app on their phone, and that's what's raising kids now. Those are some of the many dynamics we have with, and I guess back to that old Richard Pryor skit back in the 70s, we was talking about who the new knitters are. Well, it's the Hispanics now. So now we're fighting for relevancy in second-class citizens now.
Well, let me say this: the Hispanics, what they're doing, Reggie, look here, when they're not using N-word like we use it, they are appropriating. And when it first started, because I was in school when I was teaching when they first started doing it, it was like the black kids, the Hispanic kids had, got the black kids to feel like, well, the black kids like, okay, well, if I call you my nigga, then we friends, right? So they just start calling each other to make friends, and I would always counsel the black kids,
trying to relate.
If anybody got to call you a nigga to be your friend, that ain't your friend. I see you the biggest fool in town. I said, when you get grown, it's gonna be a problem. And so what I'm saying is that, and then I have to counsel some kids about, oh, well, Miss Fleming, I don't mind. I said, but it's not your word. It's not your word. You can't, you can't give nobody permission to disrespect me. And so I'm just saying that black parents too, we got to work with black parents to have them understand, first of all, you got to tell your kid to quit letting them call you that. Okay. So
I agree wholeheartedly. That's when it started leading to other problems. And and that's just, like I said, that's just the tip of the iceberg we haven't had to deal with. But the conflict between LULAC and the NAACP, it's like this one turned into a little turf battle within itself on a political level. And these are just a lot of unnecessary matters that's steadily pervasive in our society, much less in the schools. I mean, it get to the point, you'd probably be better off just some of these kids probably need to stay home, be educated at home, because there's no continuity involved when all it is just a lot of static. And those are some of the many problems that have to be addressed.
We'll talk about the NAACP and LULAC. I like to use Jesse Jackson's analogy when he told Mayor Arrington, "You can't run with the rabbits and hunt with the hounds." They running with the rabbits, who's us, and they hunt with the hounds. So they doing, they getting over, but with the white status thing, right? They being offered by the white folks here in Texas, because they know they need a large chunk of them to have a majority. Now, and again, if you go and check, you'd be surprised how many Hispanics got white on their birth certificate. So that means that there's really not as many white people as they say it is, because a lot of folks that count as white is Hispanic. So again, that's an issue. That's a cultural issue, and I think we need to have a cultural summit with Hispanics, either up here in North Texas or statewide, where we can discuss those cultural issues and see if we can't figure out a way forward where we won't have an outside force coming in to divide us like this. We have a memorandum of understanding with LULAC. We don't trash each other in public, so that's why you don't see any of that. But in the same time, we need to address their racism in hiring, in other areas. So we know what's going on.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me inject another issue, so maybe we'll move on to another topic. The whole issue of immigration. We have seen Black neighborhoods that were at one time Black change from Black to Hispanic. We have lost the numbers in terms of Black elected leaders as a result of Hispanics coming into the country, moving into the Black neighborhoods where our property values have been run down. They come in and buy the property. So this whole relationship between Blacks and Latinos. At one time, I could recall having discussions where we had LULAC and NAACP in the same studio. Everybody was on one accord. What has happened to that relationship?
No, Robert. Let me remind you. Remember when Jesse? That's it again. That's that fake narrative stuff. Remember when Jesse Jackson had to go over and talk to Vicente Fox in Mexico and say, when Vicente was saying, "Well, hey, they just taking jobs that Black folks don't want to do." Remember that? Yes. Right. Oh, okay. So I'm trying to tell you, because when I got out of school, I worked construction, and then all of a sudden you can see Blacks couldn't get a construction job, couldn't get nowhere. Construction crew, and so I'm just saying that and that was back Vicente Fox when he was president of Mexico. So this has been going on for a minute. This ain't just happened in 2023. This has been going on from way back there. So if you've been paying attention, again, and that's what they did. They brought him in to move us out, to control us. That's what it started off as.
Right. Well, now, Angela and Reggie, Black folks are always voting for Democrats who open the border up and just it's almost like we're voting in this Black-Brown coalition, and the result, we're being further put back.
Before she answer that, Ronald Reagan is the only president that ever signed a paper that allowed that made a group of Hispanics legal. He's the only one that did that, and he's Republican. So we don't want to holler the Democrats and the border. Reagan did.
And he also gave them a lot. He also gave them a lot of amnesty. But when you look back, that's the bill that he signed gave them amnesty, which made them citizens. Now you got Chuck Schumer out of New York, who's calling for the same thing in terms of amnesty. But when you look at the nuts and bolts on the ground of what's happening between the Black community and the Latino community, who's behind the eight ball?
Well, now I'm against amnesty, but I'm trying to tell you that this is so this is where the Democratic white folks in both parties, they get together in the middle and they do this type of stuff. Both of them get something out of it. And we the one that be losing in the overall. Saying that this is, again, I just want to just say, don't make it a Democrat opening up the border. No. That's
the problem. We can't, as Black folks, we can't question Democratic policies
Yeah,
that seem to have a negative impact on us in the long run. We just supposed to shut up and accept it. But look at what Biden. Now, when Trump was in office, and I'm just looking at it rationally because I voted Democratic, I voted Republican. Now, Trump had that stay in Mexico order. Biden comes in and signs the executive order, and the floodgates open up. And where are these folks going to go? They go to the Black community. And the next thing we know, we're being in the school district that's hiring more and more Latinos that speak bilingual, and yet, we're supposed to be at the table of brotherhood.
Right, Robert. All I'm saying is that which you speak didn't just start. This has been going on since Reagan signed that first amnesty thing. Because after that,
does Biden bear any responsibility for the border?
All of them bear responsibility.
They all do.
All of them. That's all I'm trying to say.
All of them.
Let's look at the totality of the measure. And Angela, as you're dealing with that school situation, now is the board president Latino?
The board president, she is Hispanic, and we have 3 Hispanics on the school board. They are the majority on the school board.
And it seems like, are they bogarting the Black community?
I didn't hear that last statement.
Are they bogarting the Black community? Just kind of, get out of my way. I'm coming in.
You vote all of us out of there, yeah.
Well,
and I'm gonna tell you another thing that's caused that problem. When they can move into a house, they 10, 12, 20 deep. Most Black families gonna be 2, 3 people in there trying to take care of their bills. Now all of a sudden you're paying anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 a month to stay in your house, and that's forcing us out to try to regulate how we're gonna try to live. So that's another big problems that we're having as far as the Black versus Hispanic situation, because you don't see too many white people having this problem. It seems like the main people having the problem with housing is Blacks. Because Hispanics got their problem beat.
I mean, when I was down in Houston, man, and it's back in the day. It's back then. They were doing it back then. Look at that State Underground Railroad. When you see about all them people in one house, that's the Underground Railroad where they bring them in. Look, you gotta understand. Look at this whole program, Robert, is what they're doing. Okay, and here how it goes. Because I said, well, how these people get all the way up to Minot, South Dakota, right? Well, basically what it is, and again, Vicente Fox put this stuff in place where they would open up a consulate in these different states. Okay. Now, if they get up to that consulate, then if they can get to that consulate, then they can get papers to, start the process. So that's how that basically goes. So I'm telling you that banking and politics has played a role in this. So it ain't like it's an issue that's like right now, okay, this is the current iteration of it. But no, I'm telling you, it's a plan, been planned. That's how they got all over the United States like that. They did that.
Yeah, and you're right. They are all over the United States.
Cheap labor, right now they're trying to, the Congress trying to pass a law to make the rollback child labor laws, right? They call them all these chicken housing things, working these Hispanic kids, 12, 14 years old, for cheap, and so forth and so on. So I'm just saying that it's business on one hand, it's politics on another hand, and they both work.
And personal on the other hand.
Yeah, and they both work together.
All right, well, once again, you're listening and watching the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com. That's an online gospel radio station out of Dallas, Texas. And each and every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. Central Standard Time to about 11:30 Central Standard Time, we review the issues of the day. I'm Robert Ashley. I've lived here and worked in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for the last 30 years or more, serving as a journalist. Now, I'll tell you what, I think we're going to get ready to pause right now for just a quick break. Now, also, you can go to the App Store, Google Play, and download the app Uplifted Now. That way you can take this great radio station with you 24/7, playing the best gospel music, contemporary gospel music. Got a great staff here. And once again, we continue to encourage you to lift up the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We're going to pause right now for just a quick break. Now, when we get back, let's talk about Donald Trump. The former president of the United States. He's going to be in Waco, Texas today campaigning. He says he wants to be president in 2024. And we'll be back with more right after this.
Your source for your favorite gospel music. It's all right here on the Uplift.
Right here on the Uplift. Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. That's 800-239-0201. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-824-4596. 800-824-4596. 800-824-4596. That's 800-824-4596.
Your source for your favorite gospel music. It's all right here on the Uplift. Right here on the Uplift.
And welcome back to www.the-uplift Live. Uplifted Now. That's the name of the radio station right here in Dallas, Texas. 24-hour gospel station where we can pray and lift the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because we're living in the times now that are certainly trying men's souls. I'm Reverend Ashley, and I thank God for giving me well over 30 years of covering news right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Proudly a graduate of Grambling State University. And once again, we want to say hello to the family, my wife, and everybody like that. And of course, my good friend Cheryl Smith. We consider her the dean of journalism. We want to continue to apologize to Cheryl, because at the end of the program last week, there were some rather disparaging comments that were made, and we certainly want to apologize for that. And by no means that they reflect how we feel here at the radio station. We love everyone. We love everyone. And we certainly want to apologize for those who may have been offended. But with me right now, of course, is Reggie Ruffin, the founder of the Just Cause Coalition. We also have with us today Arthur Fleming, longtime NAACP official, former president right here in Dallas, Texas of the NAACP, and also Angela Lucky, the longtime president of the Grand Prairie chapter of the NAACP, where they held the news conference just this past week. The N-word is just being flashed around at one of our schools in Grand Prairie, Texas, and the NAACP is not satisfied with the way the Grand Prairie ISD is responding, because we're concerned about the relationship now. The bigger picture of Blacks and Latinos, is it a genuine relationship, or is it one group using the other? Just what's really going on in that given situation. Of course, we also think about all the fentanyl that's coming across the border. Last week, we reported upon a 9-month little black baby who was in the care of her grandmother, died as a result of fentanyl being somewhere. Now, we understand that fentanyl is coming from China. We are under attack, y'all, whether you want to believe it or not. And also, be mindful, too, we learned this week about a fungus that may be among us. This new fungus, I hope this is not another one of these Wuhan lab creations to unleash against the American people, because it seems like the Chinese or whoever it is continuing to unleash all this stuff. And now, when you think about fentanyl, could that be another chemical poison that the American people are being hit with? Because when you think about all the folk that are coming over here with this border being wide open, and you look at all the fentanyl that's coming in as well, are all these deadly weapons, or what's really going on here? All right, y'all, I'll tell you what, any other comments about the N-word so we can move on to Donald Trump, our former president, being in the great state of Texas today. Let's see now. I'll start with. Let me start with ladies first. Now, Angela, is President Trump coming here to Texas because he thinks that they are like-minded people? Why Texas all of a sudden? He's going to be in Waco today.
Well, let me say this. Actually, today I'm actually not in Texas, but I agree there are a lot of like-minded people like Donald Trump that live in the state of Texas with that same mindset. So I haven't followed Donald Trump in a long time, but just based on his morals and character of what I've observed, there's a whole lot of people that have the same type of morals and character of him.
Now Donald Trump's, continue with you, Anthony, real quick. Donald Trump's policy at the border, that stay in Mexico. Now, some people said that cut down on the floodgates being completely open, what we're seeing now. What others are saying, it was insensitive, that he had those people over there in Mexico waiting in all kinds of squalid conditions, and that that he was treating them wrong. Any thoughts about his stay in Mexico policy in light of what we're experiencing here in Grand Prairie with the school board?
I disagree with that statement as far as stay in Mexico. I know some people probably feel like, people should stay in their own country, but I truly believe in America's promise, and those individuals that do want to come to America, I just feel that we should welcome them. And the reason that I stand on my policy and my principles is because in reality, we all don't know where we come from.
Well, I know where I come.
Well,
I'm not here. I'm African.
You put Africa, Texas.
Africa, yeah.
A lot of people know where tribes we come from. So
well, I'm Mississippi, so
that's just like telling our African brothers and sisters, we want you to stay in Africa and we don't want you to come here. I just feel that free will. But however, I would say that I disagree with the policies that individuals can come from another country and they can come into our country and they can get all the food stamps and they can receive housing. But a person like me that have worked for 26 years, once you go into a disability retirement, you have one income, and a lot of the programs that people are American citizens that they're able to get, I'm not afforded that opportunity. So I think that we need to start attacking those policies where American people can benefit from some of these resources that people that are not even born American citizens, that they are handed out and that they receive. But I'm for allowing people to come into our country.
Hey, Rob, you got to say the whole part about that Trump policy. Now, when Obama was in office, what he did was to alleviate the flow at the border. They put economic policies in place in South America, so those people could stay there and not be coming up here. When Trump came in, first thing he did, he undid those policies. He undid them, and then which increased the flow. Then when they got up here, he did what he did. So I'm saying that, and now what Biden is doing now, which is what they should be doing now, they're going back and redoing what Obama and them had did, trying to put some economic things in place down there to stem that flow. Try to put a process in place where they can do it.
Okay, but what about all the fentanyl and the two black folks who got shot trying to go down there and get a Tommy tuck? Y'all remember the brother who was in a truck? He went down there and made a U-turn in Mexico, wind up staying in jail for almost 9 months, and his family had to pay a big ransom for that. I'm just saying, where's the equal treatment, or can we even expect equal treatment, Reggie, or is it just you pimp the United States?
United States get pimped because they allow themselves to get pimped. But because at the end of the day, see, you can't go over there to Mexico and try to tell them what to do, because you remember what happened when he was talking about trying to help stem the criminal organizations up there in Mexico. They put a big F no on that part and said, no, you're not gonna come down and do anything as for those 4 people, I mean, they just picked the wrong place to go because all they had to do was Google Matamoros, Mexico. They would have known about all the other massacres that had happened down there. That's not one of the places that's a good place to go in Mexico. Now, the western side of Mexico, they're a lot more secure there. But yeah, there are a lot of war zones along the border, and and people just go in and out.
I don't want to get Arthur mixed up as being a member of a Haitian gang.
Fentanyl. Hey, let me tell you about the fentanyl thing. Okay.
Yes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was in her committee, complaining. Speaking against Biden's policy. She was saying when Trump was in office, they were collecting about 3 tons of fentanyl. Now, since Biden's been in office, it's like 12 tons. So more of it's coming. In other words, look here, they catching more of it. So she figured more of it's no, they're doing a better job of stopping it. So I'm saying that the political spin on these things, and remember, fentanyl is big business. Big business. China, like say China, they know how they're doing it. So I'm saying that there's a business component to it. So, people making money over here, just allowing that to happen. So we need to understand that, again, we got a bunch of folks in our government that's not doing right by the people. And I'm just saying that they're making money, just like they. You remember they used to just regularly launder drug money. Remember before they changed the law and made them stop. They just,
if you were to Google, I mean, we got banks now. That's a lot of banks. I mean, we talk about these banking crises. Now that bank up in California that failed. Now, did y'all know that that bank had been subpoenaed records in terms of the Jeffrey Epstein child molestation case? Did y'all know that bank that failed in California, they had just subpoenaed the records of that bank because of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff that went on down there on the Jeffrey Epstein Island. But that's a whole nother conversation. We don't want to get into that because that may end up pointing the finger at somebody that some folks like. Now, getting back to Trump and
alive.
Huh?
Yeah, somebody who might still be alive. Yeah, that part.
Yes. Now, getting back to Trump and Waco. Now, if Trump, I thought he was going to be arrested this week. Arthur and Reggie. I mean, as a journalist, we were excited. This was exciting news.
Nobody said he was going to be arrested but him. And say
Trump's the only one who said
that. And the media need to quit doing that. The media need to quit doing that. Okay, it ain't nothing but hype and clicks.
Well, the media was excited. They wanted to see him in handcuffs.
Hype and clicks, and see that's the problem. That's how we got Trump in the first place. I see some of the same people like Joe Scarborough and all them railing against this man. I remember when they were encouraging all of that. They helped him get there, and now he's there. Now they all holy and mighty. So I'm saying, really, none of media need to get a grip because again, they create these people. Just like Beto was created by the media. They create these people and they shove them on us and say, hey, hey, look, you like Beto. They come out, hey, look, he looked like Kennedy's. Really?
My goodness.
Really?
Well, now Beto, that really wasn't his real first name, but I guess in order to get Latino votes, you've got to rename yourself. But getting back to Donald Trump being in Waco, and it seems like President Biden is going to run for re-election. Is Kamala Harris, because I saw a report this week suggesting that Mr. Biden is not pleased with the performance or the job that Kamala Harris is doing. Did any of y'all see that report?
Don't believe the hype.
I ain't seen that.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. He not gonna turn on all them black women. Don't believe the hype, bro. Don't believe it.
Now also now with President Trump, President Trump, if he put that statement out, it seemed like he's trying to control the narrative, Reggie and Arthur, and we've always talked about who's controlling the narrative. So did he trick the media into playing into this thing?
No, the media making money. They making money.
Okay. They making money off Trump. Now you're right about that. The ratings are
they're all making money.
Yeah. So it ain't
okay. Now what about Joe Biden? Now Joe Biden was over in Europe. Where was he at? He was over in was it France? No, Canada. He was in Canada. He was over in Canada. Now, Mr. Biden, the whole investigation regarding his son, that laptop, that Republican committee author that's been going after him. These bank records. Yeah, is that something that the Black community can even talk about?
He has filed. His son has filed lawsuits and so forth against these people, because what happened was his laptop come into possession of this guy, this laptop fixer guy, and after 90 days or whatever, he took the now we don't know where the laptop came. We don't even know where he got it. But after 90 days,
Hunter has admitted it's his laptop.
I said we don't know how this guy got it. And after 90 days, he didn't file a law. Look here, and this guy didn't file a law because, you can possess the stuff after 90 days, but you can't possess the content. And what he did was he took the content, and after it was messed with or whatever they did with it, sent it out to all the major news organizations. All of them said, "Hey, look, there's no chain of custody here. Who had it where?" They couldn't tell who had it where, so they didn't run it. The only folks ran it was Fox, because that's what they do. So I'm saying there was no chain of custody for this thing. So that means that they don't know who had on it.
The New York
What
Post.
I was going to add to that point was the fact that not only the laptop thing is going to be a dead issue, but as long as Joe Biden's president, you're not going to be able to run him into the ground no more than you try to run the Trumps into the ground. So I mean, that one there is going to be a little dead mulligan for a while. And if Biden gets reelected, then it'll be 4 more years of Hunter Biden's relevance starting to fade as far as that laptop.
And
that laptop is.
Well, look at, and for Black folks, I'm just gonna say, you see what relevant is it? It's actually no relevance because it doesn't put any money in your pocket. It don't get you a job. It doesn't move you on in your life. It does none of that. It does not.
Has anybody read the book that's online, the PDF book that's online by Miranda Devine of the New York Post, who initially broke the story? And if you recall, on the internet, with all the talk about the internet suppressing the story, and have either of you all taken a chance to just read that book? It's online. It's a PDF book.
Well, again, didn't put no money in my pocket, Robert. So,
Okay, well, let me ask you this: Are you concerned? Are you concerned about the possibility of treason or espionage? Are we capable of understanding things like that on that level? Or are we only capable of understanding black this, black that, racism? Or can we understand national intelligence?
He has been charged with treason. He has been charged with treason. Treason hasn't been mentioned.
No, but I ask you guys the question: has anybody read the book that's online, a PDF book that's online, The Laptop from Hell? Have you examined it?
Well,
I haven't had a chance to examine it.
Robert, it's a shiny object over here. Okay, I need to go over here. That's shiny, it's pretty, but I need to go over here, Robert, because that's where my money is. My money ain't over there. That's moralizing, and the folks that put it out, they have no morals. So I'm not gonna waste my time reading anything from somebody moralizing that don't have no morals.
I'm trying to get my $1 million in terms of I need my $1 million reparations, man, and if we can send 130 billion over to Ukraine, and we don't have at least 200 million to give every black person in America $1 million to help stimulate the economy, and Hunter's in there cutting deals, and his family that made about 31 million. Can I just get 1 million?
Well, don't get your million mixed up with that. Your million is over here. It's separate. It got nothing to do with that million. So don't think because they spending that.
Right, and it's gonna be on that to be continued type of level.
That's right.
I mean,
don't get them mixed up.
A lot of the things that we're having to face as far as Black Americans on the economic level, they're gonna slow bleed us in the process. And then, they, just like you was talking about the fentanyl thing, all of these things, just another form of political genocide that's being portrayed upon us. If it's not the police killing us, then they've got the fentanyl. If it's not fentanyl, it's the COVID. All of these things are coming in here, and they all coming in very stereotypically and we're taking this stuff, and we're the ones that's paying the price, because there are less of us than it is of most everyone else. It's definitely less of us. Almost a bit Chinese, probably more Chinese than it is blacks, and whether we knew it or not, because China has always used the United States as a second sovereign nation to live in, and that's been going on probably even longer than the Hispanics, because Chinese have been over here a long time.
And let's talk about fentanyl. Okay, fentanyl. Okay, first of all, of course, fentanyl. It ain't a lot. I don't know a lot of black folks using fentanyl, so I'm just saying that it's mostly white folks that's using it. Now, let me tell you what started all the fentanyl and all that stuff. Barack Obama made it illegal. While we was talking about weed and all this stuff, white folks were making crank legally, right? Making crank legally. You see the white folks with no teeth and all that stuff. Okay, that's crank. They was going to the drugstore getting ingredients, and it wasn't even a scheduled drug thing. Okay, Obama made it illegal. Once he made it illegal, then that's when you got into all this other stuff. That's when all the fentanyl, all that stuff blew up. So you got to understand what caused it. They stopped. They made crank illegal, which they let it be legal all them years, and putting us in jail for weed. And Obama stopped it, and so they had to go somewhere. So they start, they hooked up with fentanyl. Chinese found out about it. Look at Chinese found out about it. They said, "Oh, okay, we'll send y'all plenty." But remember now, also they're getting fentanyl from over here. So don't think it's just all coming from somewhere else. It's over here. The drug industry, it's coming out of there too.
Wow. Yeah, I saw an article last night where they was talking about, now they want to bring up now that they believe Prince was murdered behind that fentanyl overdose that he took, because he had that chronic hip pain, and they believe that somebody put a couple fentanyl in his medication, and now no more Prince. But
that same report, Reggie, didn't they say that that one of his songs he talked about the elevator, and come to find out when he said don't let the elevator take you down, and he deemed the elevator to be the devil, but yet he was found dead on that elevator from fentanyl.
Yeah,
I think that's more coincidence than a mystical a mystical assassination. But Prince had a lot of impact on a lot of things, because he was talking about the music industry, and people was making the point that him trying to step out and want to make sure he tried to get claim of his masters might have been one of the motivating factors that led to his death, just like with Michael Jackson, because music industry has always had a propensity of killing their stars when they can't no longer get money out of them. You know what I mean? A lot of these, yes,
yeah, and and our stars, Michael Jackson, for instance, when they get that big, they start doing what white people do. They go in doctor shop, get their own doctor, right? Get their own doctor. Then they be getting the drugs from, Elvis did the same thing. That's what Elvis did. Elvis had his own doctor that provided him with all them drugs. He wound up dead. So it's kind of a thing. Once you get a certain amount of money, I guess you go shop for you a doctor. And once you get an injury, you get an excuse. And then, went from there.
Yeah, but you got to admit, the way Michael Jackson died was just about as dumb as you can get, that your doctor all of a sudden gets on the phone and all of a sudden he's no longer paying attention to what's going on, and then the man dies. Because, I'm like, if you get
that might have been assassination. That right there might have been assassination right there.
Wow.
That's
right. But I'm saying, if you're making, because I'm sorry, if I'm making $100,000 a month off of taking care of you, you're gonna be waking up because I want my money. So it wouldn't have been. He would have died on my watch.
Yeah, but if I'm big business and I'm gonna take care of you even better, you might not wake up.
I'll tell you what, gentlemen, those are some interesting topics. Another quick topic. This past week, Reggie, I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier. There was a mother of 4 who was shot and killed here in Dallas in a road rage situation. This woman and another driver was just beefing. You know how drivers, go along in the car, they'll honk the horn and maybe give you the finger or something like this. But supposedly this guy, we were talking about this last night, Reggie. You saw the video.
That's one of the things that I had been. Yeah, we had talked about that, and that's definitely one of the things I have been talking about with my daughter. That she's going to have to watch her temper and watch her mannerisms dealing with people out here in the public, because all it takes is one fool, and you don't know how many fools got guns in their cars, and that could be, you could die, because you have so many people out here, they have guns just for the sake of, they just want to see what happens when they shoot somebody. Everybody is so trigger centric on these type of matters. People are just actually have no control now. And now that they have allowed people to have guns legally, that's just another added element to what we have to deal with living out here in this world we live in. There's so many ways to die.
It's called desensitized. They've been desensitized through media,
precisely,
through the current lifestyle. And so folks they've been desensitized. Rob, you don't remember Boris Karloff movies. You remember the old Boris Karloff movies?
Oh yes.
Yeah, where
scary movies.
The way those movies were, where those movies were did, you were able to scare yourself, right? Because you just imagine yourself in the scariness. Well, the way they do movies now is you don't even have to think. They show you the blood, they show you the guts, they show you ain't got to think about nothing. So, so what that has done, that has desensitized people to where they have, until they have that, unreal type reaction to stuff that they shouldn't be, react to like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you made me think about those Alfred Hitchcock movies. I remember one. Alfred Hitchcock movie is the one called The Birds.
Ain't seen no blood.
Y'all remember that Alfred Hitchcock movie called The Birds?
Yeah, I remember The Birds.
Man, you be fighting them.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Now also in Mississippi.
Now it's almost spellbinding, because all they was doing just tying a bunch of birds on a fishing line and just flapping them all around and running into the glass and whatnot. And the special effects, you have to appreciate special effects then and now, because now everything's CGI. And you watch it back then, you look at it now like, damn, movies has really gotten so much better now.
Gentlemen, before we leave here, now we just overnight, you're going to hear about this over in Amory, Mississippi. At least 20 or more people are dead as a result of a slew of tornadoes that wreaked havoc in Amory, Mississippi overnight. At least 20 people are dead. And I've been looking at some of the video here on CNN. Now, also, an Iranian-backed militia. Y'all remember our U.S. forces that were attacked over in Syria a couple of days ago. I think it was one American contractor who was killed, but it seems like they said this is an Iranian-backed militia who attacked the United States military bases there in Syria. So,
with a drone. It was a drone attack.
Yeah,
so,
drone attack.
Drone attack. And so they retaliated against then.
Is America being perceived as weak, or is this just people? This is just the way of the world.
Global realignment. This is global realignment. That's what you're looking at. So
global realignment.
Yeah, like the Saudis that made a deal with the Iranians, and got this global realignment. We got Netanyahu in Israel acting like what he is, a racist, and so some things got to change in the next couple of years. So I don't know how it's going to be kind of hard to rally. Look at when the people in Israel are protesting against this guy. I mean, this is what would happen. Look here. This is what would happen if you was to get Trump back in office in the United States. He'd go in, he'd try to get rid of the courts, make them where they can't bother him. He changed all, and that's what this guy's doing. That's what Netanyahu's doing.
Let me ask you this: yes or no? If the Democratic Party or the Republican Party have to cheat, does cheating matter anymore? Is honesty still a principle in this country anymore? Or is it just you win by hook or crook?
Oh.
Both sides.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, we don't. Integrity is definitely not part of it. I mean, I can go down there to the city of Dallas and talk to the city council, and I do my little 3-minute spiel, and they just look at me like, okay, you got 30 seconds left. Okay, and no, we do not deal with integrity anymore. That's one of the problems that I have. I mean, law enforcement. Integrity is totally out the window now, because as long as you're killing the right people, then the white people don't have a problem with it. But you better not kill one of them, because then everything's going to be done by the letter of the law. And just like we're seeing the difference like in Memphis. See how fast they got those cops off the street? Immediately.
And also this week in Memphis, at least 3 of them will not be able to ever work in law enforcement again. They have stripped them of any kind of credentials where they can maybe come to Dallas or Fort Worth and get a job. They can't do that now, not in Memphis.
Well, they're not going. They're going to have a serious problem, because they got to worry about what they're going to be spending eternity, because it's going to be in a federal penitentiary, because
them getting
this thing is serious. It's not going away.
No, they getting another job.
So those officers, they got their day coming.
Well, I hate to have to end this conversation, but Arthur and, of course, Reggie, and, of course, we also want to thank Angela Lucky, and, of course, our good friend Cheryl Smith, the Dean of Journalism, wasn't with us this morning, and I can certainly understand her emotions, and we certainly want to continue to apologize about some of those comments that were made just last week. And Arthur, it was good to see you out there at that NAACP convention. And also want to shout out to the Dallas chapter of the NAACP.
I missed that one.
Yes, sir. The Dallas chapter. And Reggie, we want to let you listen to some of that debate.
Working on another one, and I think we want to make sure you know about it, Reggie.
Okay. And also, we want to thank the Dallas chapter of the NAACP. They sponsored a city council candidate forum just this week. And I think coming up in the very near future, we'll be speaking with some of the candidates out of all different given cities. And once again, Arthur and of course, Reggie, we want to thank you for being with us. Once again, everybody, you've been listening to The Review each and every Saturday morning right here at www.theupliftlive.com. Online 24-hour gospel radio station. Great music, great staff. I want to thank all the ministries, Golden Gate Funeral Home, our pastors, Ricky Rush, and all you guys for working with us right here on The Uplift. I'm Robert Ashley. We'll see you. Want you to have a blessed day.